everyone has been in this country and in the media has been acting as if Trump has already been president. When people get the news that he's on Monday that he's sworn in as president, people are like, I thought he's already been president.
I thought he was there.
Months.
Yeah.
I honestly, that's what people will say, because that's exactly how it has felt, all year.
It sure does in the Middle East. I mean, Trump secured a ceasefire and he's not even president yet. So we'll get into that a little bit, but I did want to share a bit from the farewell speech. This warning of an oligarchy forming in America. I can almost not say it with a straight face. Go ahead.
I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. We see the consequences all across America, and we've seen it before, more than a century ago. But the American people stood up to the robber barons back then and busted the trusts. They didn't punish the wealthy, just made the wealthy play by the rules everybody else had to. Workers want rights to earn their fair share. They were dealt into the deal, and it helped put us on a path to building the largest middle class, the most prosperous century any nation in the world has ever seen. We've got to do that again.
Yeah, this guy has spent 50 years building up the big state, the deep state, and his administration colluded with social media companies like Facebook, to make sure that we were spying on Americans and censoring our free speech. But, he's going to warn us about these great, big, powerful oligarchies. Like, dude, you are the power.
Yeah.
You were the guy that was shutting people out. You're the guy that wanted to make it so that every person in the country practically who was employed would have to get the shot. Like, just because you signed a pen. Like, this guy. Watch out, there's tyrants all around. Bro, look at here.
It's you. Look in the mirror. Yeah, we think about how the Biden family got their money. It's like a definition of oligarchy going on there. And he gave the Presidential Medal for the highest civilian award to George Soros. So it was really, this was just, it was a pathetic, failed exit speech by a failed president. And he's just going off. I was trying to figure out what movie character he reminds me of. Was it Dennis, or I think it's that crazy Alec Guinness guy in The Bridge Over the River Kwai. He just doesn't even know that he's the villain. He doesn't even, because he's senile. I don't think
he knows a lot, unfortunately.
He didn't write that.
So his mental acuity obviously crumbling, and now some Democrats are even coming out and saying, sometimes he would Schumer literally just got on tape and said, sometimes he would call me and not know why he called me. And I was like, well, that's kind of relatable. Sometimes I do that. But he would just bumble. But
he's the leader of the free world.
It'd be one. Yeah, right. It'd be one thing if it's your friend
who could tell him, you're calling Schumer to ask him about the tax bill.
But it's so clear to me that he's just being led around, fed what to say. And in some ways, I think really important that people got to witness the biggest cover-up campaign of all time of covering his mental acuity.
I love to tell the story about meeting President Biden because when you meet him, this guy's as sharp as a knife. They have nothing else to attack because they can't attack the things that he's doing that are so good for this country.
Paired with these really bizarre statements towards the end of Americans drowning under misinformation. I think he called for an 18-year term limit for SCOTUS. Free press is crumbling because there aren't fact checkers anymore. Honestly, my take on that is it kind of sounded like an ex-girlfriend scorned. He was boys with Zuckerberg and all the tech people, and then he goes on podcasts and kind of rips them and be like, oh yeah, he actually was coercive and I don't like him. And now he's kind of coming out screw you.
I love that 18-year term limit on Supreme Court justices. The guy spent, his entire career in the Senate to push, to torpedo good, solid judicial picks like Bork and Thomas. And now it's now you guys like term limits, or you want to expand the Supreme Court. Hey, actually, why don't we expand this? That was what the Democrat from Oregon said. Let's expand the court to 15 seats. Why don't we do it right now?
Yeah, today sounds good.
It's such a good idea. Let's vote on it today.
Right. Well, I'd have to say my favorite
Oligarchs for
tweet.
thee and not for me.
My favorite tweet on this was from Rich Lowry. He said, Washington's farewell address, avoid entangling alliances. Biden's farewell address, I don't like Meta's new moderation policy.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I wanted to make note of, and this just came down the pike, President Biden, he thinks he can use social media to amend the Constitution. He tweeted out, today I'm affirming what I've long believed and what 3/4 of the states have ratified. He's saying that the Equal Rights Amendment is now law because he's decided it is. Okay, so no, that's not how this works.
Yeah, one more full circle. This is just like the last dying spasms of the convulsing failed presidency of Joe Biden. And it's just like, we're going to throw all of the stuff out and we're just going to smash it. It's a toddler temper tantrum.
Totally.
And thank God it'll be over in 3 days.
A toddler temper tantrum is a good way of putting how people.
I have a lot of those, so.
Yeah, we're familiar with them.